Hi, this is Douglas Robinson, and in this video we're going to be testing out our new Cherwell Duplicate Customer Records map. Now this map creates a new SQL view in your system to find customer records that have either a matching email value, phone value, mobile phone value, same account name, full name, or employee ID, and based on the items that are matching, will actually give you a value of which item has matched. Now this is important because if you have multiple different duplicates in your system, there's not an easy way within Cherwell to query for that information. There's a fairly straightforward way to query for it within SQL, but we can't query SQL directly within Cherwell. So what we do is we end up building out a SQL view, and then we expose that as a business object in Cherwell. So what we've done is we've created our SQL view, and that's this view here, and we've created this as an external, we've created this as a database server object that goes through our Cherwell database. So this is our v_duplicate customer records server object with our SQL script that I had open. The reason I'm showing you this within SQL Server Management Studio is this is exactly what I copied into the database server object form. It's just not formatted well on this form. You can copy this out to SQL and it looks just as good. If we create a new query, we get this view out, but when we copy and paste it in, it's not formatted that well. So I wanted to show that to you in SQL so you can kind of get a better view of this. Anyways, we created this as a database server object. We created a new imported external business object that we mapped to it, and that's this v_duplicate customer records business object. We can see this object here. Now you'll notice I kind of stressed the word imported in that scenario, or in that sentence. And the reason for that is that this is an imported business object. The reason it's imported is because we are going to use this business object in a search. The intended use of this map is going to be that you can search for a customer with a related clause against the relationship customer links duplicates, and you can find customers where there's at least one duplicate customer record. Now, the trick to this is that if you have data that's in an external system, you can't use it in a related clause if it's linked in real time. For whatever reason, a relationship to an external business object that's linked rather than imported doesn't show up in our related clause relationship list, so we have to import this business object. Now, I haven't touched this map in a couple weeks. I actually started working on this a month ago, and then I kind of got sidetracked until now. So when I went back and looked at this, I looked at my business object after troubleshooting why I wasn't seeing my data in Cherwell at first. And I looked at it and I realized it's imported. It's not linked. And I thought, why is this imported? Why on earth would I have made this an imported business object where I actually have to go to the database tab and import the external data, or have a scheduler import the external data? And the reason why is precisely what I just said. It's because linked external relationships, or linked business objects, linked relationships to external business objects don't show up in this related clauses list, and we need it there. That's what we're doing. And the reason I had discovered this, or the way that I had discovered this, was when I was building out our Cherwell broken team assignments map, because we ran into the same problem there. That map actually requires you to configure a scheduled data import, which you'll have to do for this too. You'll have to set up a scheduler entry that imports data for this external business object, which we're about to do. Now, I want to draw your attention to something. In the out-of-the-box data, we have a problem. Our duplicate record search matches on phone and mobile phone, and I'm on the demo data package, or ZAR, or backup, whatever you want to call it. And on the demo data set for Cherwell, all of the demo customers have the same phone numbers. So when I look in this view, there's 1,200 records because every customer matches with every other customer. And the way that we're going to fix that is we're going to clear out these phone numbers because I don't want to see all of these matches. So I'm going to create a new one step. I'm going to label it clear phone numbers. And this is going to be an update business object step. We're going to click save. And real quick, so that we can test this out, we're going to clear phone and mobile. Done. No more phone numbers. If we reload this page here, oh, that can't be right. Probably get rid of that. Okay, so we have our, you know what, I may not have republished my blueprint yet. I didn't republish my blueprint yet. Sorry, slight technical difficulties. I've been playing around with this a bit before finalizing this map. Anyways, so you'll notice our list of duplicates has shrunk down significantly, and for good reason. So we have one duplicate customer right now, and that is Henry Bryce. We can see here there's a original rec ID and a duplicate rec ID. So there's two different customers here with the same employee ID as well as the same email address. And that's correct. The only duplicate data we have in our Cherwell system right now is a separate Henry Bryce that I have created. Now here's the one that I've created, and I know I've created this one because I didn't fill in the department or the city or the state information. Here's the one from Cherwell's demo dataset with a department, city, and state. It doesn't have a well, it doesn't have a title. It doesn't have a phone number anymore because we cleared that out. So here's a great example of how this map works. And I clicked on the wrong data there. So here's Henry Bryce, and our SQL view shows that he has a duplicate customer. If I look in here under this duplicate customer records tab, nothing shows up yet. And the reason for that is because we have to import external data before this works. So you, as someone who's applying this map, must first add a new scheduler record to import this data. This is all you need to do. You set up a recurring schedule, daily, can be at any point in time. This one apparently is going to be 7:01 p.m. And you're going to import external data. You click Setup. You choose your external business object. In this case, that's duplicate customer records. I'm going to delete all the existing records, and we'll import everything. It's not very much to import. We click OK. No end date. Now this thing, I just want to say, I don't like that it gives you an error if you don't enter end by, and end by is checked by default. Just quick note, and I'm going to try and remember to put this on the ideation station. No end date should be picked by default here. Anyways, so that's how you set up your import for external data. I honestly don't remember whether I've got my scheduler server on this server machine running or not, so I'm just going to very quickly run this manually, and you all can figure out how the manual process works there too. Just as simple. And so now we've imported that. It's only 2 records to import from that view, and now we should be able to find in our customer records here, we should have duplicate customer records showing up. We don't. I don't know why we don't, but we're going to find out. For those of you that are playing along at home, we haven't actually finished this map, so this is kind of a working session, also kind of a map preview. So we have from customer, we have a relationship to a customer links duplicates relationship, and this links our duplicate records. It's supposed to link our duplicate records wherever there is an original rec ID that matches. So customer rec ID should go into original rec ID, and that makes sense. We're reloading relationship when constraints fields change. We're loading immediately. And also, I'm sure this data isn't being cached. Nope, this is marked cacheable. We can't trust this. Okay. So this is, if you're following along at home, this is actually kind of an issue with external data, especially if you've just imported it. Cherwell caches a lot of lookup type data, and if you're not careful, that data will look incorrect if it's just recently changed. I think most business objects are marked as cacheable by default, and they really shouldn't be. So here's an example of our duplicate record, and if we navigate directly to it, we can see here's customer 1, which is Henry Bryce, and this one doesn't have a town and city entered, so this is the one we created, and here's customer 2, which is the default. Now there's 2 duplicate records. One of them is the duplicate record for the customer I created, and one of them is the duplicate customer for the customer that existed already. And the reason for that is the Cherwell system has no way of knowing which one's correct. You're going to have to determine that on your own, but your search can now return customers that have other customer duplicate records. So now if we're searching for customers, we should be able to search using a relationship where there's at least one duplicate customer record. And we get Henry Bryce. If we go to our duplicate customer records tab, the data is loaded. And just a quick note, that's kind of a confirmation that us changing whether or not that table was cacheable or not actually caused it to refresh when we went into it. So just a quick note, if you're actively importing data, if you leave it marked as cacheable, unmark that cacheable flag and reload your definitions when you're testing it out, because you can very easily, just like I did, find yourself with data that doesn't really appear when it's supposed to. Anyways, that is effectively our map. This is all you have to do to use this map, is you import your data, and when you're searching for a customer, you're able to use a related clause for customer links duplicates and search for customers where there's at least one duplicate. Now, for Henry Bryce, the duplicate customer record search is going to show us there's a matching duplicate, and here's the field that matches. This is the first field that matches. So if we open up SQL, and we look at our SQL view, this is the order it goes in. If it matches email first, it's going to say email. If it doesn't match email and then phone and mobile, it'll show phone because it's first. Any combination of these, it's going to show whichever one of these happens first. So if nothing else matches but employee ID, and that's the only thing that matches, you'll see employee ID for the matching item field, or for the matching field column, I suppose. But, if email matches and then a bunch of other stuff matches, it'll always show email because that's the first item that we're checking in our SQL query here. So that's how our map works, and if we want to take away some of these matching items, for example, like email and employee ID, wherever his employee ID would have been there. I thought this matched. It might have just been that employee ID was entered on one of these and not the other. So if we go to this customer now and we refresh, we'll have to re-import actually to demonstrate this. What I want to show is that if we refresh our data, if we import our data again, that was broken team assignments. If we import our data again, then what we should see is that the matching field column has actually changed from email to full name because that's a different thing that matches. So as your data is updated in your system and you're running these imports, you should be able to query for customers that have these matches. And the additional benefit here is you can search for customers based on what type of match there is. So you can choose to only show customers where the matching item is equal to email, and it'll only show you customers where there's at least one duplicate with an email address that's associated with it, or phone, or full name. Now, that's not a validated field, so you may have to pay attention to how these are actually typed out here. There's no spaces or hyphens in any of them, so email, phone, mobile, same account name, full name, pretty much exactly as the fields are actually entered in Cherwell. And that's it. If you have any questions about this map, feel free to contact us either through the comment section on this YouTube video or via our website, which is defeditsoftware.com. As always, you can always email me, which my email address is doug@defeditsoftware.com. Feel free to subscribe for more videos like this one, and thanks for watching.